Welcome to Roofing Southland in New Zealand's deep south, a province defined by its wilderness, beauty and abundance. This week, for a 69th year, the region plays host to the best road cycling talent from around New Zealand and the globe in the country's longest running and most prestigious road race. 96 riders from 16 teams will do battle across more than 860 kilometres of southern highway. Spanning fertile farmland, majestic fiordland, a punishing climb up Queenstown's Remarkables, the iconic Bluff Hill, all leading to a winner being crowned in Invercargill at the end of a week of drama. This is the 2025 SBS Bank Tour of Southland. After the weather gods put paid to the 2025 Tour's original November dates, they made sure they smiled on the organisers as brilliant summer conditions greeted the riders for Sunday's opening stages in central Invercargill.
3, 2, 1, go!
Last year, November was a bit difficult, yes. That thunderstorm that struck the province devastated so much. There was thousands of homes without power. We were in a state of civil emergency, so there was no way that we were going to have a race. It was a bit devastating. First year as a tour director, having to make that decision, and credit to the people around me and our sponsors. They were on board for us to try and make best do with what we had, really. It's opened doors for new riders coming in and people who couldn't have been available in November. Great time of the year to be starting this with our weather as well. It's much better, although it might be a little bit of a different race. On 2 stages during the tour, there's an area where it's 1 kilometre and there's 3 sprints where the sprinters can get some extra time that they may theoretically lose in the hill climbs. So doesn't put them out of the race, keeps the GC in contention pretty much.
With the usual lap of Queen's Park out of action, the opening Prologue and street stage moved a few kilometres north to Bainfield Road and Queen's Drive, where a super fast 4-kilometre circuit promised plenty of thrills. As was the case in 2024, it was the impressive Creation Signs MitoQ New Zealand cycling project team that took first blood with victory in the opening team's time trial, putting James Wilson into the first Orange Tour Leaders jersey of the week, just 2 seconds ahead of PowerNet and defending champion Josh Burnett, with iBuilt a further second back and third. But that was merely the entree, as the full field lined up just hours later for Stage 1, a 10-lap, 42-kilometre punch around the same street circuit. The brilliant conditions, tight hairpin turns and long straights made for great viewing. And after some unsuccessful attempts at breakaways, as the bell sounded for the final lap, the field was more or less together, meaning the stage was anyone's over the final frenetic kilometres.
The bell gets rung for the riders on the final lap of this circuit on fantastic conditions here in Invercargill. Who is going to take out this final stage and potentially put themselves into the orange jersey? It is a circuit that has been introduced after the weather event back in November, where Queen's Park is no longer the traditional circuit available due to the roadworks that are going on around there and the damage throughout the entire circuit. So today we've got something that has been introduced to the riders that is fast and furious, and for many of them riding in the United States, for example, in the Criterium Championships over there and all the various other racing that happens throughout America, they are absolutely eating it up here and loving every moment of this fast and furious circuit. And for the crowds of Southland, you can see them spread throughout the entire circuit enjoying it. They can see them going down one side here as they make their way up towards the roundabout, and they'll drop down into Queen's Drive, the long length on which they're going to be taking on the final day as well. You can see the road just off to the right. That's where they'll be coming back here in 7 days, but there is a lot of racing to occur before then, as we see the likes of Copeland's going off the front. They've been pretty dominant here. They've been trying to get themselves off the front a number of times on this particular circuit. It is wide, it has got some slight angles on it in different points, and there's a little bit of an incline later on as they come back up towards the finish, but very fast down here as the riders now start to pick it up. 65, 70k an hour. Marshall Irwood there in the pink jersey. That is, of course, the under 23 colours that you can see. It is very prominent indeed for riders to be able to point out, because there is a lot of under-23s again, as we've seen in the past for this race. As another rider now joins the Copeland's rider off the front, I think could be Glenn Hayden, who's driving it down through there. The spectators getting up close and personal, enjoying every moment of it here as they fly down, and then they have to slam the anchors on for a very tight turn for these riders, as it looks like Oliver Scott, who's moving himself up towards the front. You've got Powernet, Josh Haggerty up towards there. Copeland's have got a number of their riders swinging around there. And now we see a bit of a move starting to happen here. Down on the inside, the riders have a bit of a look. It looks like it is Oliver Scott here in those colours, with that helmet, that familiar long-legged figure of the man who now rides a bit over in France as well. He was one of the first riders in the Copeland's team back in 2022 in their development squad, who was driving it hard, trying to pick up the victory here. Remember, it's only seconds separating the teams after the team time trial this morning, so you still have the potential to end the day leading this overall tour. A lot of the big guns trying to move themselves towards the front, but we still have about 1.5 km to go as the bit of an incline starts to occur here. The wind is picking up, as you can see the tree starting to buffet about a wee bit there at Thompson's Bush. He is giving this absolute death. Is this the move? It's going to be a big one there. He's still got a long finishing straight of which to try and hold off 95 chasers. Gimlet Street they go past. That's where they turned 2 days ago in the Invercargill Licensing Trust New Zealand Criterium Championships. So he knows exactly how far to go. The thumbs up from the crowd. We are on our way in to enjoy a fantastic sprint. Will it be a bunch kick, or will the man from Copeland's Cycling Tom racing team hold them at bay? They are only metres apart. Here's a quick look as we swing into the finish. The bit of an incline again, and the wind picks up for them, and they pick up the pace. They are now over 60k an hour here. You can see the Mitre Q boys on the front driving things hard here. You can also see the Open Country TES colours in there. There's also iBuilt starting to get the mix as well as they wind things on up. It looks like Sexton could be the man towards the front of it. The man in pink as well, and Zach Patterson comes out for QFS. Zach Patterson starts to make a bit of a move. He's being challenged by Irwood, but Patterson's going to just hold on to it. Irwood up there in about second place there. Nick Kirkusu also in the mix, and Sexton, man, some of the top sprinters all out trying to challenge and potentially take themselves the orange jersey. But Zach Patterson, a man who has won into town out in the past, he picks himself up to win here for the QFS team in Invercargill on day one.
Need to do this on the lead out, bro.
Silver leader after day one of the 65 positions.
Yesterday was a good tester, you know, came into that first sprint, I was in good position, so I was like, I'll just give him a quick tester, and yeah, found out, I felt like I was the quickest there, and I was coming into the final as well, I was like, all right, it's time to make it 2 from 2.
Yeah, it was a very tight sprint. We had a good intermediate sprint. Zach was pretty fast. He came over me at the end there, and I was like, okay, he's the one to watch. Found his wheel at the finish, but just, got a bit boxed in and come back at them pretty hard. But, seeing Zach take the win was pretty cool, and then Marshall being pretty close on his heels, that's a pretty impressive ride from Marshall, and pretty cool to see him in the orange.
I'm feeling pretty ecstatic. It's something special wearing the orange leaders jersey in the Tour of Southland. It's the biggest race around here, and in New Zealand, I'd say, and it's quite special to be leading it. I'm expecting the wind to pick up a little bit, but not horrendously. I think it's going to be quite scrappy. Lots of teams going to go out there and try and give it to us.
I think Southland's turned it on for us today, haven't they? Looking forward to getting stuck in, heading into Gore.
I think the Road Train Golden Kilo is going to be quite exciting. I think we might see Nick Kirkusu feature in this. It's basically built for him. Just sprints back to back to back. Might see a 1K fly from him, but it will definitely shake up the race and add a lot of bonus seconds in the mix.
This stage is previously, a bit later in the tour. There's a bit fatigued legs, and probably a break would be let away. But with bonus points and money on the line and stuff like that, people might want to keep the stage together a bit longer, and everyone wants to be in the break. So, I think it could be together there, and we're going to have a very hard kilo, and us sprinters might line it up. But I don't know if we're going to last for 3 sprints, to be honest.
That finish into Gore is usually quite tough. I haven't quite made it over the top just yet, but hopefully today I can get over the top and heading into the finish it's a bit different. So there's a couple of tight turns it looks like. So if it all comes together, hopefully I can be up the front and hopefully use those speeds around the corners to try and make some positions up.
Beautiful blue skies here in Invercargill on the second day of this SBS Bank Tour of Southland. Welcome back to the 69th edition. Well, Doug, it's hard to believe that we've made it to this point, a historic point in the tour, of course, starting in January.
Yeah, an incredible series of events which precluded this, but here we are again. We're out in the outskirts of Invercargill through Winton. This stage obviously is also in a different order this year, finishing here in Gore, but this stage has been a pivotal stage in previous editions, and I have no doubt that it'll be the same today.
Yeah, big week worth of racing here as we see 96 riders on the start line, and the man from Southland, Marshall Irwood, there in the SBS Bank orange jersey. This guy must be absolutely ecstatic, Doug. It's been one of his dreams to put on the jersey here and lead the tour.
He's an incredible talent, and he's just getting better and better and better as he gets older. Obviously, with his track background, this boy really can put some horsepower down at the starts of these stages and in the sprint finishes. So really going to be interesting to see Marshall's journey through this year's SBS Bank Tour. But once again, the riders just get stuck in right at the start. These preems are coming up along the road towards the James Hargest High School area and further out are really going to be important this year.
Fast and furious. That's the way it was described yesterday. Today we expect very much the same with the sort of conditions here. And as you said, Doug, along Layard Street, very quick indeed. You got the lights of George Jackson floating around towards the front in defence there for his tour leader, of course. A very strong team around them. And again, as per tradition, we have 6 riders per team here and some very strong teams contending for the overall.
The team tactics today, especially with the conditions, you can see further back in the peloton, there's a lot of riders will be relishing these conditions because it's going to make it a lot easier to stay in the peloton. But there is, say, the likes of number 73 there in Finnegan Murphy from the Latitude Cycling team, a group of young guys. Here's Marshall Irwood, the tour leader, taking what looks like one of the first preems along the James Hargest, his old school. Come up, it might be one of the other riders there is going to pip him. Nick Kurgazoo is going to pip him for that particular preem. But the tactics employed by the teams today, especially PowerNet and the Creation Science Mitacube project team with Marshall in the jersey, are going to be pivotal as to how the stage pays out and whether they let some of these early breakaway riders get away.
Also getting involved in the sprint there were a number of the top contenders yesterday in the stage. The sprinters such as Tom Sexton. We saw Zach Patterson, the man in the green jersey, the Harcourt sprint ace, and here he is once again, having a wee nudge here for the Quinny sprint, and he looks like he's going to pick himself up some points. Again, Kurkazoo up there, Marshall Irwood. So some of the familiar names already starting to put their hand up to say, hey, we wouldn't mind having a bit of a nudge here, pick up a few dollars, a few points in that Harcourt sprint ace. But of course, Doug, later on the day we have some time sprints as well.
Yeah, as you're saying, Julian, these preems often break the race up, and you can see it starting to splinter up a wee bit now, and you get a group of 2 or 3 guys who sneak up the road. Next thing you've got a group away, and that can also force the hand of some of the other teams into having to chase. So these sprint preems break things up. You can see everything single file as they split down the road. Marshall Irwood having a look over his shoulder there, the SBS Bank Tour leader's jersey on his shoulders. He'll have some responsibility today too, and he's a young guy, he'll be feeling that, no doubt.
Just a Corsa spokencycles.co.nz. It's a mouthful, but they've certainly got a very good team here this year. Once again, have got themselves onto the front. Glenn Hayden has scrambled his way across there for the Copeland's Cycling Tom Racing team as well. And as you said, Doug, the man in the orange also ensuring that he's keeping himself very close to what's going on, along with the doorman Axico riders. So a lot of teams already being represented in what is already a very fast, very furious race here as they try and establish themselves a bit of a gap. But of course the wind is not here at the moment as it was last year, and that could make a difference to when we're going to see a break get away.
Some of the more powerful riders will really have to push the pace, and as we say that, who do we see at the front? James Gardner coming along here for the Creation Science Montague project team. This man knows how to blow a bike race to pieces, and he's got the kind of horsepower. And once again, it looks like there's been an accident at the back of the group there. That won't be any good for some of the riders trapped further back. But James Gardner here has led this group and is starting to look over his shoulder a bit. You've got number 55 in there as well, Glenn Hayden. Now, this man is well-travelled, well-experienced. Oh, goodness, that does not look good.
Well, there's a number of riders that have come down early on. We never want to see this in bike racing. But, of course, when you've got 96 bike riders on the road, there's not a lot of space. It doesn't take much to touch the wheels, but they've got a top medical team that'll get in there and support. There's young Maui Morrison. Looks like he's switched bikes as well. I can see no transponder onto that. Getting himself back up onto it and trying to get back to that peloton will take a huge effort. And speaking of which, as we see our two leaders, there looks to be two other riders now also making a big effort to get themselves across.
Yeah, as we were saying, coming through Wallacetown, this is the kind of split. Sometimes a crash like that in the peloton as well unsettles the riders. It's the first stage. Everyone's a wee bit nervous. You're a bit touchy. You're just not sure. A lot of these riders haven't raced in a stage of the Tour of Southland before as well. So there's a bit of anxiety goes on in the peloton. This can slow down a bit of a cohesive chase. At the front, though, things are starting to heat up.
Well, we often talk about time trial mode, and who better to do it than Glenn Hayden and James Gardner. These guys have won national titles when it comes to the time trial. They know how to go off the front. They have both also been rewarded with stage victories in the Tour as well. You can see Gardner, he's got a few bandages on there, missing out on that opportunity after a crash in yesterday's stage, which he has taken out twice around the street race. He has come back with a vengeance today here early on to try and get himself off the front, and what a combo. It'll be interesting to see who's about to join them here, because if we start getting a small group off the front here, they'll start to shake their heads further back and start coming up with decisions whether or not they can allow this sort of combo to go. It looks like the young man from Otago, Grieve, Junior World's representative in his first ever tour here, he's made the connection. And James Harvey, well, here's a man that's won a tour in the past, a stage that is in the past here, a very aggressive rider, called in at the last moment for the tour here today, pounding the big gears as the four get together.
And driving it along here at the front is Glenn Hayden from the Coupland's squad. This man has just set a New Zealand record for the hour on the track, over 52 k's in an hour, the 14th ever best time for that hour record in the world.
And here's our first up sprint in the Road Train Golden Kilo. 3 sprints spread over 1,000 metres here. And the big thing with this is, outside of dollars on the road here for the riders, are time bonuses of 3, 2 and 1 over that 1,000 metres. This will be why some of these riders have snuck themselves up the road, because you look at the time gap already that likes of Gardner has got. He's actually the virtual leader on the road. He'll be trying to sniff himself out some of these points here. I'm not too sure if they've got themselves sorted into knowing exactly where they are on the roads here. I'm sure a couple of them have here as a bit of conversation goes on with them. But here we go. Gardner, he starts to move forward, and he'll know full well that there's 3 seconds sitting up there for himself. This could be a new initiative that's going to actually change the entire general classification at the end of the day here. And it's going to be happening twice over the week, Doug.
A wonderful introduction, and it does make sure that some of the riders who have missed time on either some of the climbs or the time trial or further in the week, missed a split, have got an opportunity to gain some of the time back. Obviously, these guys have taken the initiative and broken away and taken that chance and luck out of a bunch kick for each of these prems. So we might see this sort of thing happening as groups get away. I think it's quite strategic that Creation Science Montague have sent James Gardner up the road. He's obviously hunting these bonus seconds as well. So that could be a ploy for him to take them and for not have any of the other teams and any other riders potentially win those bonus seconds. Very clever thinking.
Well, he certainly picked up 2 out of the 3, as you can see there for the Golden Kilo from Road Train. That is 6 seconds. 6 seconds he has picked up. The uninitiated, that may not sound a lot, but it is very tight at the top of the leaders board at this moment. That could make a significant difference as we get to the end of the stage here, where of course there are more time bonuses up for the end of a stage, as there typically is here. But if you can get them out on the road as well, and these riders, they've done the calculations, they'll have a plan of attack, and they could potentially put themselves in the orange jersey.
The road across from Drummond to Winton has been a pivotal point in the SBS Bank Tour of Southland in previous years. We've seen the likes of Dylan Kennett, Corbin Strong get dropped along here, but today with the conditions the way they are and the quartet of riders and the strength of riders in this front group, we are not going to see that sort of thing happen today. These guys are making an excellent job of staying away at the front of this race.
Yes, they've certainly now well established themselves here as we see a 2-minute 38 gap here in these outstanding conditions on the second day here of the January edition of the tour. As we look back at the peloton, we can see who's been given the job to control things, and that is the PowerNet team. And of course this year they've got Josh Burnett, a 2-time champion riding number 1, typically been in the Mitre Q colours, but this year going to be in the PowerNet colours. So they've been given the job now to try and keep things at a safe distance. You can also see, of course, the man in the orange jersey, and he's got his teammate George Jackson there, just keeping them into a nice safe position towards the front and protecting them.
Yeah, coming into this Titipu climb, you can see James Gardner's going to try and take some points here off the rider Hayden from Coupland's, trying to also sneak into those King of the Mountains jerseys. But it's interesting you're saying there, Julian, PowerNet missed the split. They are chasing, and right on their tail up the front is the Mitre Q Creation Science team riding a very heady race.
So Hayden picks up the first lot of hill climb points for the day, and of course that is another one of the classification jerseys up for grabs presented by Jesco Hydraulics, as we see coming into Gore now in the closing stages, a mere 21 seconds. We have seen the likes of Harvey disappear, we have seen Grieve disappear, but the two men, Doug, that started the entire action right back at Wallistown are still out in front for something like 125k here as we make up the bump into Gore, the Broughton Street Hill, and it is Gardner sitting in second wheel looking poised to try and pick up more points.
You've got a feel for these guys. This is no man's land. Anyone or old bike riders all over the world who are watching this sort of situation, you cannot afford to look back. You've got to commit, and two guys here have not got long to the top of this climb. Once you get over the top, it's a very fast, furious finish through to the stage end, but can they stay away? This is really tough going.
Gardner giving it absolute death here to try and secure for himself more points to keep himself well and truly in contention, but there is a challenge from further on back as the peloton now starts to swallow up the two riders that have made a massive show of strength here throughout the day, and he's just going to hold on to it. It looked like the likes of a couple of the PowerNet boys trying to come up and pick up some of those points there, but I think Gardner will pick up a few. He'll now be swallowed back into the peloton. His day is done, as now the big guns come out for the stage victory. But man, what an effort by those lads.
2k to go here coming into Gore, and it's the Mitre Q team here on the front, Creation Signs, trying to set up their team leader, Marshall Irwood. You can see him there in the orange jersey further back. This is so hectic, and like you say, those boys that were in that breakaway kept it all nice and calm, but the calmness has ended. We're now in for a bunch sprint here into Gore, into the stage finish.
A massive reduction in the peloton. I would suggest 40 to 50 riders. We started with 96. You can see the remnants of the field further on back as the pressure goes on. A slight difference this year as the riders will swing to the right shortly and another turn to the left through the streets, which will make things very technical.
I think this technical finish is probably going to play into the hands of some of the more powerful track riders that we've seen. You can see here, this is fantastic footage, but the left-hand, right-hand combo at the end is going to suit some of the riders with the better bike handling skills and the more power kick type sprint coming out of these last corners.
Logan Curry leads them, and he's been at the top level of cycling, and he is back to try and challenge here for the stage victory. But here comes New Zealand representative Tom Sexton. He's got time to look over the shoulder. Kean Watson, PowerNet coming down the inside, but Ivilt, they take out the stage. Third yesterday in the team time trial, and Sexton then brings it home for them though in the stage to secure his second ever stage victory in the SBS Bank Tour of Southland. The Olympian, an outstanding effort indeed, and now we wait for the calculators to come on out. There could be some big changes with time bonuses. Southlander Tom Sexton goes to the top of the leaderboard with an outstanding sprint into Gore to secure himself the orange jersey. But it is the same time back to James Gardner after picking up time bonuses along the road. Meanwhile, Gardner also picks up an extra bonus for himself here with the Harcourt Sprint Ace on 32 points from Glenn Hayden. while Glenn Hayden, with a fantastic day out on the roads, takes over the Jesco Hydraulics King of the Mountains from Gardner and Grieve. Dunedin's James Gardner also secures for himself the Henderson Construction Under-23, taking it off the shoulders of his teammate Marshall Irwood. While Glenn Hayden also picks up the Geraldine Cheese silver jersey 4 seconds from Dybel. Hayden, after a huge effort right early in the stage and 125k out in front, takes over the Macleay Jewelers most combative. While Creation Science Mataura New Zealand Cycling Project continue to dominate in the Wednesday Cycles team classification.
Some top quality riders here, so luckily I got rid of a few of the top sprinters, and this new finish as well suited me really well. So coming in there, I was about second wheel out of the last corner and just gave it a good rip, and luckily you made it to the line first. I was looking over my shoulder going like, someone's surely got to be coming, but yeah, held them off, so that was really cool.
Yeah, I don't like the cold much, so I'm loving this summer edition, and yeah, just real good group of guys in the break, and we always had a glimmer of hope that we can stay away and yeah, to pick up some KOM bonuses, and the most aggressive jersey there on the road was such a bonus.
Maybe tomorrow we might be marked a little bit more than we should be, but I don't think I'll be holding on to the jersey after Remarkables, so I don't got hills very fast, but yeah, we'll give it a good rip. It's a long week, you know, I've got still 5 more days to race every day like a new day, so yeah, it's really exciting.
Would you put your hands together for Tom Sexton of Ivilles?
Follow the action from this historic race with live race updates, full results and pictures at tourofsouthland.com.